Shalom. Sunday Shalom. For some of you, maybe Shabbat. But make sure you're keeping Shabbat. Make sure you're doing the Shabbat things if you're going to call it a Shabbat. Wait, how do we do this? There we go. Are we crooked? I don't think we're crooked. I'm using that window curtain as a level. No vacuum tonight either. Sorry, guys. Maybe next time. Get the special guest vacuum back on. We're reading Psalms 68 and 69 today. It is only an Old Testament night. I say night because it is 3 o'clock in the morning here. Because fullness of days, right? StoneSoupIngredients.com. Get your famine preparedness needs. Tithe to RWTC. We give Bibles out. We spread the word. Constantly preaching the word. You meet somebody on the street, you should be telling them the word. Give with your money, give with your time. Do what you got to do to serve the kingdom, serve Elohim, and make sure that you're ready for when the grocery store shelves don't have any food on them, because it's going to happen. It's happened before. 2020. It's going to happen again. Make sure you're ready this time, because I watched my sister buy the last bag of rice and Gatorade on the shelf, and I don't want to be in a position where I can't get food. We can hunt around here. There's some wildlife. There's deer, but there's not much clean animals running around anymore. And regulations bear down on their taking. However, I don't know what that would be like in a SHTF situation. And not that you need to prepare for nuclear war and think about that all the time, but even a situation where there's economic downturn to the degree that you lose your job and, you know, maybe you can't feed your toddler rice. I don't know if toddlers can eat rice. I don't have a toddler. But you and your wife, especially if you're just a single person, like I said in the Sing Psalms, get 3 buckets and put them in your closet. They're going to take up next to no space. You'll be able to throw your jackets, put them next to your suitcase, whatever. It's going to be like, they're 15 inches by 12 inches, so you need a 12-inch circumference and then about 3.5 feet. 3.5, 4 feet of space. That could save your life when there's no food. And you should also be gardening. Follow us on TikTok at Stone Soup Ingredients as I post videos and product images that you can see what we're doing and how we're doing it, and really get the full gist of why we're doing what we're doing. StoneSoupIngredients.com. Let's pray. Oh, Father Yahweh, we know that you are Elohim. We know that you want us to have confidence in you. Not just confidence in you as far as faith and belief, but confidence that we walk with you. You are the firm foundation, the healer of all generations. Father Yahweh, we love you and we bow down to you. We humble ourselves to you, and that we have the ability to follow the Spirit. We do the Torah, but we don't follow the Torah, we follow the Spirit. Knowing that your Spirit has the Torah within it, and has our best interest in mind, and is our helper and our comforter. Father Yahweh, we know that you're perfect and we're not. We're just broken sinners. And we love you.
and the world is surrounding us on all sides. Father God, will let the Spirit speak through me tonight. Bless all these people, that they come to grow closer to you, that they become to know you ever better, day by day in their walk, and that we may assist them, that I may be a vessel to assist them. Keep me in the Spirit and keep the Spirit in me. And pour out my blessings on these people in service to them. Let the Spirit speak through me tonight. In Yeshua name. In the mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach. In the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen.
Okay. Hope that y'all guys could hear that prayer and all my prayers, because sometimes I get down like, that was definitely a face in the floor prayer. Sometimes they are. Coffee, because church was early today, and so when you hear people talk about, working a lot, that's a requirement. I want to say just as a man of El, but as a man, we do Proverbs every day. And we did Proverbs 31 on July 31st. We'll do it again on August 31st. But there's Proverb 31 is all about a biblical woman, so to speak. That's the proof text for a biblical woman. And if you're going to have a biblical woman, you need to be a biblical man. And so men in the Word would work technically from sun up to sundown, which would be about 12 hours in Israel. Where they are on the map, they wouldn't get more than 13 hours of sunlight in the summer and then 11 in the winter. But they are not America today. And so in order to read the Word, serve the people, and provide a viable income for yourself and your family, you need to work a lot. Don't be afraid of it. Love Elohim and do it, and don't get distracted by selfish ventures. In Yeshua name, amen. Psalm 68. Elohim arises, his enemies are scattered, and those who hate him flee before him. As smoke is driven away, you drive them away. As wax melts before the fire, the wrong perish before Elohim. But the righteous are glad, they exult before Elohim, and they rejoice with gladness. Sing to Elohim, sing praises to his name. Raise up a highway for him, who rides through the deserts by his name Yah, and exult before him. Father of the fatherless, and right ruler of widows is Elohim in his set-apart dwelling. Elohim makes a home for the lonely. He brings out into prosperity those who are bound with chains. Only the rebellious shall dwell in a dry land. O Elohim, when you went out before your people, when you stepped through the wilderness, Selah. The earth shook and the heavens dropped before Elohim. This Sinai shook before Elohim, the Elohim of Yisrael. You, O Elohim, sent a shower of plenty. You confirmed your inheritance when it was weary. Your flock dwelt in it. You provided from your goodness for the poor, O Elohim. Yahweh gave the word. The women who proclaimed it was a great company. Sovereigns of armies flee in haste, and she who remains at home divides the spoil. If you lie down among the sheepfolds, the wings of a dove are covered with silver, and her pinions with yellowish green gold. When the Almighty scattered sovereigns in it, it did snow in Salmon. A mountain of Elohim is the mountain of Bashan. A mountain of peaks is the mountain of Bashan. O mountain of peaks, why do you gaze in envy at the mountain which Elohim desired to dwell in? Yahweh even dwells there forever. The chariots of Elohim are 20,000, thousands of thousands. Yahweh came from Sinai into the set-apart place. You have ascended on high. You have led captivity captive. You have received gifts among men, and even the rebellious, that Yah Elohim might dwell there. Blessed be Yahweh. Day by day he bears our burden. The El of our deliverance, Selah. Our El is the El of deliverance, and to Yahweh the Master belong escapes from death. Indeed, Elohim smites the head of his enemies, the hairy scalp of him who walks about in his guilt. Yahweh said, I bring back from Bashan. I bring back from the depths of the sea, so that you plunge your foot in blood, that the tongues of your dogs have their portion from the enemies. They have seen your goings, O Elohim, the goings of my El, my sovereign, into the set-apart place. The singers went in front, the players on instruments after them. Among them were the young women playing tambourines. Bless Elohim in the assemblies. Yahweh from the fountain of Yisrael. There is a Benjamin, the smallest, their ruler. The leaders of Yehuda, their company. The leader of Zebulun, the leader of Naphtali. Your Elohim has commanded your strength. Be strong. O Elohim, this you have worked out for us. Because of your Hakal at Yerushalayim, sovereigns bring presents to you. Rebuke the wild beasts of the reeds, the herd of bulls with the calves of the peoples, each one humbling himself with pieces of silver. Scatter the peoples who delight in conflicts. Ambassadors come out of Mitzrayim. Cush stretches out her hands to Elohim. Sing to Elohim, you reigns of the earth. Praises to Yahweh, Selah. To him who rides on the ancient highest heavens, see, he sends out his voice, a mighty voice. Ascribe strength to Elohim. His excellence is over Yisrael, and his strength is in the clouds. O Elohim, awesome from your set-apart places. The El of Yisrael is he who gives strength and power to his people. Blessed be Elohim. I love the way that ends. Blessed be Elohim. We don't have many notes down here, and the only note that we have, like, in the whole Psalms, I don't remember seeing, like, many, if any, at all. Among them were the young women playing tambourines in Psalm 25, and the note there is maiden for young women. We'll get to that part. The singers were in front, the players on instruments after them. Among them were the young women playing tambourines. I asked a young woman to sing with me today at church for the sing psalms, and she ran away. She wasn't that young. She had to be at least 20 something. I'm only 30. I just turned 30 the other day. I'm not gonna say she ran up to me, but she definitely was excited to meet me until I asked her to sing with me. Elohim arises. His enemies are scattered, and those who hate him flee before him. So we know about Exodus and the fact that in Exodus 14, Yahweh covers 14:27. And Moshe stretched out his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its usual flow at the break of day, with the Mitzrites fleeing into it. Thus Yahweh overthrew the Mitzrites in the midst of the sea, and the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the army of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them, and not even one was left of them. And then we go into Exodus 15, where 15:3, Yahweh is a man of battle. Yahweh is his name. He has cast Pharaoh's chariots and his army into the sea, and his chosen officers are drowned in the sea of reed. The depths cover them. They went down to the bottom like stone. Your right hand, O Yahweh, has become great in power. Your right hand, O Yahweh, has crushed the enemy. And in the greatness of your excellence, you pulled down those who rose up against you. You sent forth your wrath. It consumed them like stubble. This is a song, back to verse 1. Then Moshe and the children of Israel sang this song to Yahweh and spoke, saying, I sing to Yahweh, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea. Yah is my strength and song, and he has become my deliverance. He is my El, and I praise him, Elohim of my father, and I exalt him. And we're going to see more about the deliverance here. The El of our deliverance in verse 18. And this is, as far as I know, the first example of this. And Exodus has a lot of these. It's the first time we hear about the loving commitment. It's the first time we hear about the deliverance. First time we hear about the snare, which we found out. I do believe it's the first time we hear about other mighty ones, too. Because even everybody's like, well, you know, all the plagues that Moses sends on Pharaoh by the hand of Yahweh are against all the gods of Mitzrayim, of Egypt. And then eventually it comes to the sun god, which is their highest god, and he says, I will turn the sky black. And he does, because he's Yahweh, and he can do whatever the fuck he wants. His enemies are scattered, and those who flee before him. I want one other proof text here, and it is brief and indirect, but fitting. Deuteronomy 28:7. Yahweh causes your enemies who rise against you to be smitten before your face. They come out against you one way and flee before you 7 ways. This is if you follow the commandments. And then the inverse becomes true also, in that in verse 25 of Deuteronomy 28, if you don't keep the commands, Yahweh causes you to be defeated before your enemies. You go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and you shall become a horror to all the reigns of the earth. Elohim arises, his enemies are scattered, and those who hate him flee before him. As smoke is driven away, you drive them away. As wax melts before the fire, the wrong perish before Elohim. We've seen this wax example a couple of times in Psalms, and I'm wondering if we're going to see it anywhere else. I would like to see it in Isaiah or Jeremiah before I give context to this. So we'll have more by the end of the year, and then we'll hit, it was Psalm 68, and then I'll probably have to look it up again because it was in the 50s somewhere, if I'm right. Maybe it was the 40s. Didn't think it was that long ago, but I'll probably just look it up when I get there. Or Yah will direct me. Try and remember 68. 69, I noticed when I was doing the Sing Psalms, is completely prophetic about Yeshua. And I think he references it a couple of times, so we'll see if maybe there's explanatory notes on that. Otherwise, let the Spirit guide me. Okay. Smoke is driven away. As smoke is driven away, you drive them away. This is obviously analogous to the enemies before Elohim. But I do have this inclination to go to Revelation 8. Even though I do believe it's a different context for smoke, I want this analog directed as far as this is the seventh seal and the plagues that come upon the earth in Revelation 8. And when he opened the seventh seal, there came to be silence in the heaven for about half an hour. And I saw the 7 messengers who stand before Elohim, and to them were given 7 trumpets. And another messenger came and stood at the slaughter place, holding a golden censer, and much incense was given to him, that he should offer it with the prayers of all the set apart ones upon the golden slaughter place which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense with the prayers of the set apart ones went up before Elohim from the hand of the messenger. And the messenger took the censer and filled it with fire from the slaughter place and threw it to the earth. And there were noises and thunders and lightnings and an earthquake. And the 7 messengers who held the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. And the first messenger sounded, and there came to be hail and fire mixed with blood, and they were thrown to the earth. And a third of the trees were burned up, and all green grass was burned up. And the second messenger sounded, and what looked like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea, and a third of the sea became blood, and a third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. And the third messenger sounded, and a great star fell from the heaven, burning like a torch, and it fell on a third of the rivers and on the fountains of water. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And a third of the waters became wormwood, and many men died from the waters because they were made bitter. And the fourth messenger sounded, and a third of the sun was struck, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of them were darkened, and a third of the day did not shine, and likewise the night. And I looked, and I heard an eagle flying in mid-heaven, crying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to those dwelling upon the earth, because of the remaining blast of the trumpet of the 3 messengers who are about to sound. Woe, woe, woe to those dwelling upon the earth, because of the remaining blast of the trumpets of the 3 messengers who are about to sound. Seriously. Verse 12 has a note there that we will explore all of those scriptures when we get to Revelation, which we're not there yet, but we do have smoke of the incense, and then it becomes filled with fire from the slaughter place and thrown to the earth. So where there's smoke, there's fire, but these are... And the smoke of the incense with the prayers of the set apart ones went up before Elohim from the hand of the messenger. And the messenger took the censer and filled it with fire from the slaughter place and threw it to the earth. And there were noises and thunders and lightnings and an earthquake. As smoke is driven away, you drive them away. As wax melts before the fire, the wrong perish before Elohim. Yeah, so when smoke goes up to Elohim and then fire is thrown back down, it's cause and effect, action and consequence. Heard this given as the smoke of the incense is the prayers, but it says the smoke of the incense with the prayers of the set apart ones. So the praying, the desire for set apartness, the exaltation of El, the plead, the cries up to El causes the action. If you've ever seen sticks being rubbed together to make fire, you see the smoke first, and then abruptly you see fire. Out of nowhere comes fire. And so you have to have the smoke, and then you get the fire. See fear and anguish and concern in this smoke. Not expectation. Not prayers of expectation. They're literally cries. When he throws down the fire, it's like a blast, a shockwave, for everybody to get back, to give peace to the set apart ones. Like, I'm gonna fuck up all the lives of all the people who are fucking you up, who are fucking up your life, that they get pushed so far back they have to worry about themselves so much they can't even pay attention to you anymore. Do not harm the earth, nor the sea, nor the trees, until we have sealed the servants of our Elohim upon their forehead. Revelation 7:3. But the righteous are glad. The wrong perish before Elohim, but the righteous are glad. They exult before Elohim, and they rejoice with gladness. You've seen all of this singing of praise throughout the Psalms. We're just going to go to John 17. Never mind, 15. Verse 10. If you guard my commands, you shall stay in my love, even as I have guarded my Father's commands and stay in his love. These words I have spoken to you, so that my joy might be in you, and that your joy might be complete. This is my command, that you love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, that one should lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do whatever I command you. No longer do I call you servants, for a servant does not know what his master is doing, but I have called you friends, for all teachings which I have heard from my Father I have made known to you. The righteous are glad, they exult before Elohim, and they rejoice with gladness. Having the joy of Yeshua, and also love one another as I have loved you. And when no one has greater love than this, that one should lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do whatever I command you. So, Yeshua, similar to Acts 7, where Stephanos is being stoned. Stephanos is the first martyr, and then Yeshua is standing at the right hand of Elohim, not sitting, he's standing. And you are my friends if you do whatever I command you. He's his friends are in trouble, and he's interceding. And salvation. Sing to Elohim, sing praises to his name. Yeah, we talk about the singing all the time when we do the sing psalms, so you should be singing with us. I'm going to go back and re-sing all the ones up to, I think it was 48 that I started this. I'll go back and do all that because Yahweh is worthy. Raise up a highway for him who rides through the deserts, by his name Yah, and exalt before him. Raise up a highway for him. In Ezekiel, we get the mountain and the highway. Start at verse 26. And I shall give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. And I shall take the heart of stone out of your flesh, and I shall give you a heart of flesh, and put my spirit within you. And I shall cause you to walk in my laws. This is chapter 36, starting at verse 26. Walk in my laws and guard my right rulings, and shall do them. And you shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and you shall be my people, and I shall be your Elohim. And I shall save you from all your uncleanness, and I shall call for the grain and increase it, and I shall bring no scarcity of food upon you. And I shall increase the fruit of your trees and the increase of your fields, so that you need never again bear the reproach of scarcity of food among the nations. And you shall remember your evil ways and your deeds that were not good. And you shall loathe yourselves in your eyes, not for your crookednesses and your abominations. Not for your sake am I acting, declares the Master Yahweh. Let it be known to you, be ashamed and blush for your ways, O house of Israel. Thus said the Master Yahweh. On the day that I cleanse you from all your crookednesses, I shall cause the cities to be inhabited, and the ruined places shall be rebuilt. And the land that was laid waste tilled instead of being a ruin before the eyes of all who pass by. And they shall say, this land that was laid waste has become like the Garden of Eden. And the wasted, the desert, and the destroyed cities are now walled and inhabited. Then the nations which are left all around you shall know that I, Yahweh, have rebuilt the destroyed places and planted what was laid waste. I, Yahweh, have spoken it, and I shall do it. Thus said the Master Yahweh. Once again I shall let the house of Israel inquire of me to do for them. I shall increase their men like a flock, as a set-apart flock, as a flock at Jerusalem at her appointed time, so shall the walled cities be filled with flocks of men, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. Okay. So, while that did not have the mountains and highways verse, Isaiah 54:17. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment, and you shall prove wrong. This is the inheritance of the servants of Yahweh, and their righteousness from me, declares Yahweh. Okay. Isaiah 49:11 is the verse that I was looking for. And I shall make all my mountains a way, and my highways raised up. See, these come from far away. We're going to actually Excuse me. We're going to read all of Isaiah 49. Listen to me, O coastlands, and hear you peoples from afar. Yahuwah has called me from the womb. From my mother's belly he has caused my name to be remembered. And he made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand he hid me, and made me a polished shaft. In his quiver he concealed me. And he said to me, You are my servant, O Yisrael, in whom I am adorned. And I said, I have labored in vain. I have spent my strength for emptiness and in vain, but my right ruling is with Yahuwah, and my work with my Elohim. And now, said Yahuwah, who formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob back to him, though Yisrael is not gathered to him, yet I am esteemed in the eyes of Yahuwah, and my Elohim has been my strength. And he says, Shall it be a small matter for you to be my servant, to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to bring back the preserved ones of Yisrael? And I shall give you as a light to the nations, to be my deliverance to the end of the earth. Thus said Yahuwah, the Redeemer of Yisrael, their set apart one to the nation despised, to the loathed one of the nation, to the servant of rulers. Sovereigns shall see and arise, rulers also shall bow themselves because of Yahuwah, who is steadfast, the set apart one of Yisrael, and he has chosen you. Thus said Yahuwah, in a favorable time I shall answer you, and in the day of deliverance I shall help you. And I guard you, and give you for a covenant of the people, to restore the earth, to cause them to inherit the ruined inheritances. To say to the prisoners, Go out, to those who are in darkness, show yourselves. Let them feed on the ways, and let their pastures be on all bare hills. They shall not hunger nor thirst, neither heat or sun strike them. For he who has compassion on them shall lead them, even by fountains of water guide them. And I shall make all my mountains a way, and my highways raised up. See, these come from far away. And see, those from the north and the west, and these from the land of Sinim. Sing, O heavens, rejoice, O earth, and break out in singing, O mountains, for Yahuwah shall comfort his people and have compassion on his afflicted ones. But Sion says, Yahuwah has forsaken me, and Yahuwah has forgotten me. Would a woman forget her nursing child and not have compassion on the son of her womb? Though they forget, I never forget you. See, I have inscribed you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are always before me. Your sons shall hurry, your destroyers and those who laid you waste apart from you. Lift up your eyes round about and see. All of them gather together and come to you, as I live, declares Yahuwah. You shall put on all of them as an ornament, and bind them on you as a bride does. For your wastes and your deserted places, and the land of your destruction, shall soon be too narrow for the inhabitants, while those who swallowed you up are far away. The sons of your bereavement shall yet say in your ears, The place is too narrow for me, make room for me to live. And you shall say in your heart, Who has brought forth these for me? Since I am bereaved and barren, an exile and wandering to and fro. And who reared them? See, I was left alone. From where did these come? Thus said the Master Yahuwah. See, I lift my hand up to the nations, and set up my banner for the peoples. And they shall bring your sons in their arms, and your daughters carried on their shoulders. And sovereigns shall be your foster fathers, and their sovereignesses your nursing mothers. They bow down to you with their faces to the earth, and lick up the dust of your feet. And you shall know that I am Yahuwah. Those who wait for me shall not be ashamed. Is prey taken from the mighty, and the captives of the righteous delivered? Yet thus said Yahuwah, Even the captives of the mighty are taken away, and the prey of the ruthless is delivered. And I strive with him who strives with you, and I save your children. And I shall feed those who oppress you with their own flesh, and let them drink their own blood as sweet wine. All flesh shall know that I, Yahuwah, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the Mighty One of Jacob. Thus says Yahuwah, Where is the certificate of your mother's divorce, whom I have put away? Or which of my creditors is it to whom I have sold you? Look, you were sold for your crookednesses, and your mother was put away for your transgressions. When I came, why was there no man? When I called, why was there no one to answer? Was my hand too short to ransom, or have I no power to deliver? See, by my rebuke I dry up the sea. I make the rivers a wilderness. Their fish stink, for there is not water, and die of thirst. I clothe the heavens with darkness, and I make sackcloth their covering. The Master Yahuwah has given me the tongue of taught ones, and that I should know to help the weary with a word. He wakes me morning by morning. He wakes my ear to hear as taught ones. The Master Yahuwah has opened my ear, and I was not rebellious, nor did I turn away. I gave my back to those who struck me, and my cheeks to those who plucked out the beard. I did not conceal my face from humiliation and spitting. And the Master Yahuwah helps me, therefore I shall not be humiliated. So I have set my face like a flint, and I know that I am not put to shame. Near is he who declares me right. He who would contend with me. Let us stand together. Who is my adversary? Let him come near me. See, the Master Yahuwah helps me. Who would declare me wrong? See, all of them wear out like a garment. A moth eats them. Who among you is fearing Yahuwah, obeying the voice of his servant that has walked in darkness and has no light? Let him trust in the name of Yahuwah and lean upon his Elohim. See, all you who light a fire, girding on burning arrows, walk in the light of your fire, and in the burning arrows you have lit. From my hand you shall have this, you shall lie down in grief. Listen to me, you who pursue righteousness, seeking Yahuwah. Look to the rock you were hewn from, and to the hole of the pit you were dug from. Look to Abraham your father, and to Sarah who bore you. For he was alone when I called him, and when I blessed him and increased him. For Yahuwah shall comfort Zion. He shall comfort all her waste places. For he makes her wilderness like Eden, and her desert like the garden of Yahuwah. Joy and gladness are found in it, thanksgiving and the voice of song. Listen to me, my people, and give ear to me, O my nation, for the Torah goes forth from me, and my right ruling I set as light to the peoples. And my right ruling I set as a light to peoples. My righteousness is near, my deliverance shall go forth, and my arms judge peoples. Coastlands wait upon me, and for my arm they wait expectantly. Lift up your eyes to the heavens, and look on the earth beneath. For the heavens shall vanish like smoke, and the earth wear out like a garment, and those who dwell in it die as gnats. But my deliverance is forever, and my righteousness is not broken. Listen to me, you who know righteousness, a people whose heart is my Torah, a people in whose heart is my Torah. Do not fear the reproach of men, nor be afraid of their reviling. We read way into 51 there, as the Spirit led. And I saw one cross-reference there to a reading that I did in Romans the other day. Look, you were sold for your crookednesses, and your mother was put away for your transgressions. Romans 7:14. For we know that the Torah is spiritual, but I am fleshly, sold under sin. Look, you were sold for your crookednesses, and your mother was put away for your transgression. Isaiah 50, verse 1. Thus says Yahuwah, where is the certificate of your mother's divorce, whom I have put away? Or which of my creditors is it to you whom I have sold? Look, you were sold for your crookednesses, and your mother was put away for your transgressions. Sing to Elohim, sing praises to his name. Raise up a highway for him. This is a time of passing. Mountains are conquest. They're conquering. You conquer the mountain. You climb mountains. You move mountains. Highways are going from mountain to mountain. They're between times. They're passing times. Times of waiting, if you will. Raise up a highway for him. Raise a way for him to pass through to you. Who rides through the desert? Yahuwah, who rides through the deserts. That plain of emptiness. As we also saw in Isaiah 50:49. No, we saw it in Isaiah 30, or in Ezekiel 36:35. They shall say, this land that was laid waste has become like the Garden of Eden, and the wasted, the deserted, and the destroyed cities are now walled and inhabited. Rides through the deserts. Just shoo. By his name Yah, and exalt before him. Father of the fatherless and right ruler of widows is Elohim in his set apart dwelling. So, I want to give you Job 29 here as an example of a man of Elohim. We've read Job together, and we saw how it ended for Job, in that he was reckoned righteous to the degree that he, verse 42:10, and Yahuwah turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends, and Yahuwah gave Job twice as much as he had before. Job 29 started at 11. For when the ear heard, it blessed me, and when the eye saw, it gave witness of me. Because I rescued the poor who cried out, and the fatherless who had no helper. The blessing of the perishing one would come upon me, and I made the widow's heart sing for joy. I put on righteousness, and it robed me. Right ruling was my cloak and turban. I was eyes to the blind, and I was feet to the lame. I was a father to the poor, and I investigated the case which I did not know. So this is a testimony of all the righteous things, all the man of Elohim actions that Job took throughout his life, and he's bearing witness of this. And now coming and saying, how did these things happen to me? But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about, these are the examples that he gives basically as his evidence for why I don't deserve this. Type deal. I don't love how the camera is positioned right now. And so I'm going to fix it after we go to Deuteronomy 24. Start in 14. Do not oppress a hired servant who is poor and needy, of your brothers or of your sojourners who are in your land within your gates. Give him his wages on the same day, and do not let the sun go down on it, for he is poor and lifts up his being to it, so that he does not cry out against you to Yahuwah, and it shall be sin in you. Fathers are not put to death for their children, and the children are not put to death for their fathers. Each is to die for his own sin. So, this again, verse 15. He is poor and lifts up his being to it, so that he does not cry out against you to Yahweh, and it shall be sin in you. This is akin to Revelation 8, where we see the smoke and subsequently the fire. Because that's what's going to happen, is that if the righteous cry out against you, then fire will rain down upon you. Fathers are not put to death for their children, and children are not put to death for their fathers. Each is to die for his own sin. Do not twist the right ruling of a sojourner or the fatherless, nor take the garment of a widow. But you shall remember that you were a slave in Mitzrayim, and that Yahweh your Elohim ransomed you from there. Therefore I am commanding you to do this word. When you reap your harvest in your field and have forgotten an omer in the field, do not go back to get it. Let it be for the sojourner, for the fatherless, and for the widow, so that Yahweh your Elohim might bless you in all the works of your hands. When you beat your olive trees, do not examine the branch behind you. Let it be for the sojourner, for the fatherless, and for the widow. When you gather the grapes of your vineyard, do not glean behind you. Let it be for the sojourner, for the fatherless, and for the widow. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Mitzrayim. Therefore I am commanding you to do this word. Father of the fatherless and right ruler of widows is Elohim in his set apart dwelling. Okay, let's fix this here, because this way y'all can see my hands here. Cool. And you just witnessed me drop the coaster. We are an hour in, almost, and I need more coffee. We're going to do that in a minute, but I got a little bit here. I don't know if you all are watching this with your morning coffee, or on your way to work, or after work, or wherever you're watching it, but just praise Yahweh. Elohim makes a home for the lonely. He brings out into prosperity those who are bound with chains. Only the rebellious shall dwell in a dry land. I think we just saw the rebellious in Isaiah 50. Verse 5. The Master Yahweh has opened my ear, and I was not rebellious, nor did I turn away. This Isaiah 50 is... it gets very prophetic of Yeshua. I was talking to a friend the other day about how difficult Isaiah is to read, and we're obviously going to go through it when we do it, but it is very difficult to read because there's times, and we're fortunate in the scriptures to have the capitalization setting apart, you know, whether it's Isaiah or Yeshua or Yahweh, but there's even like in the Dead Sea Scrolls, so I've heard, it's basically a 3/4 version of Isaiah where the extra quarter was added in to make context and make you actually know what's going on in Isaiah, because as Isaiah received this word, it was very like sporadic. There's no like character change. It's just like, it just is like very like quick scene flash, you know, like he writes it out, like I almost want to say, like, if you've ever, 'cause I write like this, and like the only thing that I can compare it to is a schizophrenic's writing, because it's just like portions of paper. I don't have any that I've done. I did it when I opened my pizzeria. When I was giving I was making like a business plan to give to the guy who gave me the money to open the pizzeria, and I wrote, and like it was a whole page, and it's just like clips of thoughts and words and verses, not in any lineage, not in any order, just as I see them on the paper where they should go, and then like I when I look at it, I will look to a certain place for a certain thought based on how my brain has organized the thoughts physically in the gray matter of my brain, but they then print on paper. And so that's how I picture Isaiah writing his book, as opposed to someone like Ezekiel, who is actually chronicling the happenings of his interactions with Elohim. Like, he's actually like writing it down, taking notes, making a timeline. Like, he knows that he's writing a book for Yah, and Isaiah seems like it's more like scribbled notes on a pad. So the point there was that 50 goes into Jesus talking. The Master has given me the tongue of taught ones, that I should know to help the weary with a word. He wakes me morning by morning. He wakes my ear to hear as taught ones. This is basically Yahweh training Yeshua to be the perfect man that Yahweh wants him to be. Only the rebellious shall dwell in dry land, and that is what verse 5 gives context for. I was not rebellious. Yeshua was not rebellious. He listened. He did perfectly toward Yahweh. And when your land is dry, we go back to Deuteronomy 28. Verse 24, in the curses section. Blessings are from 1 to 14, and then 15 to 15 to 68 are curses. So yeah. Verse 24, Yahweh makes the rain of your land powder and dust. From the heavens it comes down on you until you are destroyed. Yeah. We're going to get into some other Deuteronomies here too. Oh Elohim, when you went out before your people, when you stepped through the wilderness, Selah. Just like, that's the statement there that David makes. When you went out before your people, when you stepped through the wilderness, Selah. Like, that is it. When you did these things, period, end of sentence. That's all you need to know about what happened, is that when Yahweh did these things. Mic drop. Obviously, this is referring to the Exodus. Exodus 18:19. Now listen to my voice. Let me counsel you, and Elohim be with you. Stand before Elohim for the people, and you shall bring the matters to Elohim. This is Yithro training Moshe on how to command, on how to rule hundreds of thousands of people. How many does it say here? I think there's 603,000 that leave. And I guess they're probably all still alive at this point because it's Exodus 18. So, 600,000 people. Exodus 14:19. And the messenger of Elohim, capital M messenger, who went before the camp of Israel, moved and went behind them, and the column of cloud went from before them and stood behind them, and came between the camp of the Mithrites and the camp of Israel, and it was the cloud and the darkness, and it gave light by night, and the one did not come near the other all the night. Since we read Exodus 14 already, but back to Exodus 18, And you shall enlighten them concerning the laws and the Torah, and show them the way in which they should walk, and the work in which they should do. But you yourself seek out from all the people able men who fear Elohim, men of truth, hating unfair gain, and place these over them to be rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, and rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. And they shall rightly rule the people at all times, and it shall be that they bring every matter to you, but they themselves rightly rule every small matter, so make it lighter for yourself, for they shall bear with you. If you do this word, and Elohim shall command you, then you shall be able to stand, and all this people also go to their place in peace. And Moshe listened to the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he said. And Moshe chose able men out of all Israel and made them heads over the peoples, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. And they rightly ruled the people at all times. The hard matters they brought to Moshe, but they rightly ruled every small matter themselves. And Moshe sent off his father-in-law, and he went away to his own land. When you went before your people, when you stepped through the wilderness, the earth shook and the heavens dropped before Elohim. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth came to be formless and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of Elohim was moving on the face of the waters. Revelation 20, verse 4. And I saw thrones, and they sat on them, and judgment was given to them, and the lives of those who had been beheaded because of the witness they bore to Yeshua, and because of the word to Elohim, and who did not worship the beast, nor his image, and did not receive his mark upon their foreheads or upon their hands. And they lived and reigned with Messiah for 1,000 years, and the rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years were ended. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and set apart is the one having part in the first resurrection. The second death possesses no authority over these, and they shall be priests of Elohim and of Messiah, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. And when the 1,000 years have ended, Satan shall be released from his prison, and he shall go out to lead the nations astray, which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together for battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea. And they came up over the breadth of the earth, and surrounded the camp of the set-apart ones and the beloved city. And fire came down from Elohim out of the heaven and consumed them. And the devil who led them astray was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet are. And they shall be tortured day and night forever and ever. And I saw a great white throne, and him who was sitting on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and no place was found for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, standing before the throne, and books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged from what was written in the books according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and Sheol gave up the dead who were in them. And they were judged, each one according to his works. And death and Sheol were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And if anyone was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. The earth shook and the heavens dropped before Elohim. This Sinai shook before Elohim, the Elohim of Yisrael. That's Exodus 20. Verse 18, and all the people saw the thunders and lightning flashes, the voice of the shofar and the mountain smoking, and the people saw it, and they trembled and stood at a distance. And said to Moshe, you speak with us, and we hear, but let not Elohim speak with us, lest we die. And Moshe said to the people, do not fear, for Elohim has come to prove you, and in order that his fear be before you, so that you do not sin. So the people stood at a distance, but Moshe drew near the thick darkness where Elohim was. And Yahweh said to Moshe, say to the children of Israel, you yourselves have seen that I have spoken to you from the heavens. You do not make besides me mighty ones of silver, and you do not make mighty ones of gold for yourselves. Make a slaughter place of earth for me, and you shall slaughter on it your ascending offerings and your peace offerings, your sheep and your cattle, in every place where I cause my name to be remembered. I shall come to you and bless you. And if you make me a slaughter place of stone, do not build it of cut stone, for if you use your chisel on it, you have profaned it. Nor do you go up by any steps to my slaughter place, lest your nakedness be exposed. You, O Elohim, sent a shower of plenty. You confirmed your inheritance when it was weary. Your flock dwelt in it. You provided from your goodness for the poor, O Elohim. We are going to Malachi 3. Verse 9. You are cursed with a curse, for you are robbing me, the nation, all of it. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse, and let there be food in my houses. And please prove me in this, said Yahweh of hosts, whether I do not open for you the windows of the heavens, and shall pour out for you boundless blessings. And I shall rebuke the devourer for you, so that it does not destroy the fruit of your ground, nor does the vine fail to bear fruit for you in the field. And said Yahweh of hosts, and all nations shall call you blessed, for you shall be a land of delight, said Yahweh of hosts. Your words have been strong against me, said Yahweh of hosts, but you said, what have we spoken against you? You have said, it is worthless to serve Elohim, and what did we gain when we guarded his charge, and when we walked as mourners before Yahweh of hosts? And now we are calling the proud blessed. Not only are the doers of wrongness built up, but they also try Elohim and escape. Then shall those who fear Yahweh speak to one another, and Yahweh listens and hears, and a book of remembrance be written before him, of those who fear Yahweh and those who think upon his name. And they shall be mine, said Yahweh of hosts, on the day that I prepare a treasured possession, and I shall spare them as a man spares his own son who serves him. Then you shall again see the difference between the righteous and the wrong, between one who serves Elohim and one who does not serve him. Sent a shower of plenty. You, Elohim, sent a shower of plenty. You confirmed your inheritance when it was weary. Your flock dwelt in it. You provided from your goodness for the poor, O Elohim. I'm going to go to two witnesses here. One is Matthew 25. Start at verse 30. Start at verse 34. Then the sovereign shall say to those on his right hand, come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the rain prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. Was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. Then the righteous shall answer him, saying, Master, when did we see you hungry, and we fed you, or thirsty, and gave you to drink? And when did we see you a stranger, and took you in, or naked, and clothed you? And when did we see you sick, or in prison, and we came to you? And the sovereign shall answer and say to them, truly I say to you, insofar as you did it to one of the least of these my brothers, you did it to me. He shall then also say to those on the left hand, go away from me, accursed ones, into the everlasting fire for the devil and his messengers. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you did not take me in, was naked, and you did not clothe me, sick and in prison, and you did not visit me. Then they also shall answer him, saying, Master, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger or naked, or sick or in prison, and did not serve you? Then he shall answer them, saying, truly I say to you, insofar as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me. And these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into everlasting life. And our second proof text for that is going to be, you provided your goodness to the poor, your flock, you dwelt in it. John 21. Verse 15. When therefore they had eaten breakfast, Yeshua said to Shimon Kepha, Shimon, son of Yonah, do you love me more than these? He said to him, yes, master, you know that I love you. He said to him, feed my lambs. He said to him again the second time, Shimon, son of Yonah, do you love me? He said to him, Yes, master, you know that I love you. He said to him, Shepherd my sheep. He said to him the third time, Shimon, son of Yonah, do you love me? Kepha was sad because he said to him the third time, Do you love me? And he said to him, Master, you know all. You know that I love you. Yeshua said to him, Feed my sheep. Your flock dwelt in it. You provided from your goodness for the poor, O Elohim. Yahweh gave the word. The women who proclaimed it was a great company. Okay. So this is a lot of women here, is the point of this. And before we read that, I'm going to take a bathroom break. Water, coffee, refill. Full hour and 10 minutes, and we're halfway through this psalm. Not even, we're a third way through this psalm. But we're still serving, yeah. So that's what's important. Yahweh, we gonna serve our Yahweh, he's Yahweh. Who do we serve? That's Yahuwah. That's Yahuwah, who we do serve. He's Yahuwah, who we do serve. He's Yahuwah, he's Yahuwah. He's Yahuwah, who we do serve. So if you haven't ever given thought to feeding the hungry or the thirsty or the clothing the naked or giving, how does he say about the sick? Oh, coming to the sick or in prison. Maybe you should think about it. It is now 4:16 in the morning here, and we are likely going to do all of the second day worth. I say the second day. What is this? I think we're on day 217 at this point. I need one of those blender mixer balls. Yeah, this is day 217, so we'll probably also do 218 straight through. Sovereigns of armies flee in haste. This is what the women who proclaimed it was a great company. So Yahweh is instructing women to give this word. And we started with Proverb 31 women. Sovereigns of armies flee in haste, and she who remains at home divides the spoil. Ooh. Sovereigns of armies flee in haste, and she who remains at home divides the spoil. So, the Spirit is telling me right now that I need a woman to interpret this. So, I'm going to start asking women about Psalm 68:12. I'm going to have to get back to you on it. It is not for me to know. If you lie down among the sheepfolds, it is not for me to teach you. If you lie down among the sheepfolds, the wings of a dove are covered with silver. You also should ask a woman and put it down in the comments below if you have an answer to it, but I will update this with that when I find out. If you lie down among the sheepfold, the wings of a dove are covered with silver, and her pinions with yellowish green gold. We go to Ezekiel 34. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say to them, Thus said the Master Yahuwah, to the shepherds, Woe to the shepherds of Israel, who have been feeding themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flock? You eat the fat, and you put on the wool. You slaughter the fatlings, you do not feed the flock. You have not strengthened the weak, nor have you healed the sick, nor bound up the broken, nor brought back the straying, nor sought what was lost, but you have ruled them with might and harshness. And they were scattered because there was no shepherd, and they became food for all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. My sheep wandered through all the mountains and on every high hill, and my sheep were scattered over all the face of the earth, and no one was seeking or searching for them. Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of Yahuwah. As I live, declares the Master Yahuwah, because my flock became a prey, and my flock became food for every beast of the field, from not having a shepherd, and my shepherds did not search for my flock, but the shepherds fed themselves and did not feed my flock. Therefore, O shepherds, hear the word of Yahuwah. Thus said the Master Yahuwah. See, I am against the shepherds, and shall require my flock at their hand, and shall make them cease feeding the sheep, and the shepherds shall feed themselves no more. And I shall deliver my flock from their mouths, and they shall no longer be food for them. For thus said the Master Yahuwah, See, I myself shall search for my sheep and seek them out. As a shepherd seeks out his flock on the day he is among his scattered sheep, so I shall seek out my sheep and deliver them from all the places where they are scattered in a day of cloud and thick darkness. Exodus 20:21. So the people stood at a distance, but Moshe drew near the thick darkness where Elohim was. Only a man of Yah can traverse that and traverse that intimidation. It's like running into battle. Like knowing that you're getting shot at and just running forward anyway. That amount of power, that authority, that energy. The intensity of only a man of Yah can traverse the intensity of the cloud and thick darkness. And I shall bring them out from the peoples and gather them from the lands, and shall bring them to their own land, and I shall feed them on the mountains of Israel and the valleys, and in all the dwellings of the land. In good pasture I shall feed them, and their fold shall be on the high mountains of Israel. They shall lie there in a good fold, and feed in rich pasture on the mountains of Israel. I shall feed my flock, and make them lie down, declares the Master Yahweh. I shall seek out the lost and bring back the strayed, and I shall bind up the broken and strengthen what was sick, but the fat and the strong I shall destroy. I shall feed them with right ruling. And as for you, O my flock, thus said the Master Yahweh, see, I am judging between sheep and sheep, between rams and goats. Is it not enough for you to have eaten up the good pasture, and the rest of your pasture you trample with your feet, or that you should drink of the clear waters, and the rest you muddy with your feet? And as for my flock, they eat what you have trampled with your feet, and they drink what you have muddied with your feet. Therefore thus said the Master Yahweh to them, see, I myself shall judge between fat and lean sheep. Because you have pushed with flank and shoulder, and thrust at all the weak ones with your horns, and scattered them abroad, therefore I shall save my flock. And let them no longer be a prey, and I shall judge between sheep and sheep, and I shall raise up over them one shepherd, my servant Dawid, and he shall feed them and be their shepherd. And I, Yahuwah, shall be their Elohim, and my servant Dawid a prince in their midst. I, Yahuwah, have spoken. And I shall make a covenant of peace with them, and make evil beasts cease from the land, and they shall dwell safely in the wilderness, and sleep in the forest. And I shall make them and the places all around my hill a blessing, and shall cause showers to come down in their season, showers of blessing they are. And the trees of the field shall yield their fruit, and the earth yield her increase. And they shall be safe in their land, and they shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have broken the bars of their yoke. And I shall deliver them from the hand of those who enslaved them. And they shall no longer be a prey for the nations, and the beasts of the earth shall not devour them. And they shall dwell safely, and with no one to make them afraid. And they shall dwell safely with no one to make them afraid. And I shall raise up for them a planting place of name, and they shall no longer be consumed by hunger in the land, nor bear the shame of the nations any more. And they shall know that I, Yahuwah their Elohim, am with them, and that they, the house of Israel, are my peoples, declares the Master Yahweh. And you, my flock, the flock of my pasture, are men, and I am your Elohim, declares the Master Yahweh. And they shall dwell safely, with no one to make them afraid. Shepherd my flock, your flock dwells in it. You provided from your goodness for the poor. If you lie down among the sheepfold, the wings of doves are covered with silver. The wings of doves, doves are harmless, and her pinions with yellow, greenish gold. Pinions are like the points of the feather. So the wings are covered with silver. The body of the dove is the piece, and then there's silver going out from the wings, and then the tips of the wings are covered in gold, yellowish green gold, which is an interesting desire of gold. Most people desire, like, most gold is like, well, it's gold colored. Well, it's like, it's got more of it doesn't really have a greenish hue to it. But it's got a brownish, more of a brown yellow, than a green yellow, at least from what I see and what I detect. But that peace, if you lie down among the sheepfold, you have peace, and your wings are silver with golden tips, and you're gonna fly away, and just everything that you touch turns to gold. You're gonna be flapping gold. You're gonna be just people will look at you and see your wings of silver and gold. That is the fruit that we bear. John 12:22. Philip came and told Andrew, and in turn Andrew and Philip told Yeshua. And Yeshua answered them, saying, the hour has come for the Son of Man to be esteemed. Truly, truly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone, but if it dies, it bears much fruit. He who loves his life shall lose it, and he who hates his life in this world shall preserve it for everlasting life. If anyone serves me, let him follow me, and where I am, there my servant also shall be. If anyone serves me, the Father shall value him. Now I myself am troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour. But for this reason I came to this hour. Father, esteem your name. Then a voice came from the heaven. I have both esteemed it and shall esteem it again. So the crowd who stood by and heard it were saying there had been thunder. Others said, a messenger has spoken to him. Yeshua answered and said, this voice did not come because of me, but for your sake. Now is the judgment of this world. Now the ruler of this world shall be cast out, and I, if I am lifted up from the earth, shall draw all men unto myself. This, he said, signifying by what death he was about to die. The crowd answered him, we have heard out of the Torah that the Messiah remains forever. And how do you say, the Son of Man has to be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man? Yeshua therefore said to them, Yet a little while the light is with you. Walk while you have the light, lest darkness overtake you. And he who walks in darkness does not know where he is going. While you have the light, believe in the light, so that you become sons of light. These words Yeshua spoke and went off and was hidden from them. But though he had done so many signs before them, they did not believe in him, that the word of Yeshayahu the prophet might be filled, which he spoke. Yahuwah, who has believed in our report, and to whom has the arm of Yahuwah been revealed? Because of this, they were unable to believe, because again Yeshayahu said, He has blinded their eyes and hardened their hearts, so that they should not see with their eyes and understand with their heart, and turn, and I should heal them. Yeshayahu said this when he saw his esteem and spoke of him. Still, even among the rulers, many did believe in him, but because of the Pharisees, they did not confess him, lest they should be put out of the congregation, for they love the praise of men more than the praise of Elohim. Then Yeshua cried out and said, He who believes in me believes not in me, but in him who sent me. And he who sees me sees him who sent me. I have come as a light into the world, so that no one who believes in me should stay in darkness. And if anyone hears my words but does not watch over them, I do not judge him. For I did not come to judge the world, but to save the world. He who rejects me and does not receive my word has one who judges him. The word that I have spoken shall judge him in the last day. Because I spoke not from myself, but the Father who sent me has given me a command. What should I say and what should I speak? And I know that his command is everlasting life. Therefore, whatever I speak, as the Father has said to me, so I speak. In Galatians 5, which I have a video on my fruits of the Spirit. You can go check it out. Verse 16, And I say, walk in the Spirit, and you shall not accomplish the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusts against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. And these are opposed to each other, so that you do not do what you desire to do. But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under Torah. And the works of the flesh are well known, which are these: adultery, whoring, uncleanness, indecency, idolatry, drug sorcery, hatred, quarrels, jealousies, fits of rage, selfish ambitions, dissensions, factions, envy, murders, drunkenness, wild parties, and the like, of which I forewarn you, even as I also said before, that those who practice such as these shall not inherit the reign of Elohim. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, trustworthiness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no Torah. And those who are of Messiah have impaled the flesh with its passions and the desires. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not become conceited, provoking one another, envying one another. Okay, those are the fruits of the Spirit, and that is what you will appear to men as: silver wings and gold pinions. When the Almighty scattered sovereigns in it, it did snow in Salmon. Salmon is somewhere in this book here. We've had context for it. We've read about it somewhere. I don't know where, but I think that it is just, it's like a snowball's chance in hell, is what he's saying here. When the Almighty scattered sovereigns in it, it did snow in Salmon. Right? It's one of those, like, never snows in LA. A mountain of Elohim is the mountain of Bashan. A mountain of peaks is the mountain of Bashan. O mountain of peaks, why do you gaze of envy? At the mountain which Elohim desires to dwell in, Yahuwah even dwells there forever. So this mountain of Bashan, we're just going to go to the beginning of Deuteronomy, because we know in Numbers 14:5. Then Moshe and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the children of Israel, and Yehoshua son of Nun and Caleb son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their garments, and they spoke to all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, the land we passed through to spy out is an exceedingly good land. If Yahuwah has delighted in us, then he shall bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which is flowing with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against Yahuwah, nor fear the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their defense is turned away from them, and Yahuwah is with us. Do not fear them. But all the congregation said to stone them with stones. Then the esteem of Yahuwah appeared in the tent of appointment before all the children of Israel. Okay. Deuteronomy 29. These are the words of the covenant which Yahuwah commanded Moshe to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, besides the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. That's in Exodus 19. And Moshe called all Israel and said to them, you yourselves saw all that Yahuwah did before your eyes in the land of Mitzrayim, to Pharaoh and to all his servants and to all his land. Your eyes saw the great trials, the signs, and those great wonders. But Yahuwah did not give you a heart to know, and eyes to see, and ears to hear till this day. And I have led you 40 years. And I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your garments have not worn out on you, and your sandals have not worn out on your feet. You ate no bread and drank no wine nor strong drink, so that you might know that I am Yahuwah your Elohim. And when you came to this place, Sihon, sovereign of Heshbon, and Og, sovereign of Bashan, came out against you to battle, and we struck them, and took their land, and gave it as an inheritance to the Reubenites, and to the Gadites, and to half the tribe of Manasseh. Therefore you shall guard the words of this covenant, and do them, so that you prosper in all that you do. All of you are standing today before Yahuwah your Elohim, leaders, your tribes, your elders and your officers, all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and your sojourner who is in the midst of your camp, from the one who cuts your wood to the one who draws your water, so that you should enter into covenant with Yahuwah your Elohim, and into his oath which Yahuwah your Elohim makes with you today, in order to establish you today as a people for himself, and he himself be your Elohim, as he has spoken to you, and as he has sworn to your fathers, to Abraham, to Yitzchak, and to Jacob. Og and Sihon are giants, and Bashan is a mountain that is ruled by giants. That is the conversation in the Numbers 13, 32. Start in 31. But the men who had gone up with him said, we are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they gave the children of Israel an evil report of the land which they had spied out, saying, the land through which we have gone as spies is a land eating up its inhabitants, and all the people whom we saw in it are men of great size. And we saw there the Nephilim, sons of Anak of the Nephilim, and we were like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and so we were in their eyes. Yeah. Deuteronomy 29:29. The concealed matters belong to Yahweh our Elohim, but what is revealed belongs to us and to our children forever, to do all the words of this Torah. Deuteronomy 31:31. And Moshe went and spoke these words to all Yisrael. And he said to them, I am 120 years old today. I am no longer able to go out and come in, and Yahweh has said to me, you do not pass over this Yarden. Yahweh your Elohim himself is passing over before you. He shall destroy these nations from before you, and you possess them. Yehoshua himself is passing over before you, as Yahweh has spoken. And Yahweh shall do to them as he did to Sihon and to Og, the sovereigns of the Amorites and their land, when he destroyed them. And Yahweh shall give them over to you, and you shall do to them according to all the command which I have commanded you. Be strong and courageous, do not fear nor be afraid of them. For it is Yahweh your Elohim who is going with you. He does not fail you nor forsake you. And Moshe called Yehoshua and said to him before the eyes of all Israel, be strong and courageous, for you are going with this people to the land which Yahweh has sworn to their fathers to give them, and you are to let them inherit it. And it is Yahweh who is going before you. He himself is with you. He does not fail you nor forsake you. Do not fear nor be discouraged. And Moshe wrote this Torah and gave it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who bore the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, and to all the elders of Israel. And Moshe commanded them, saying, at the end of 7 years, at the appointed time, the year of release, at the festival of Sukkot, when all Israel comes to appear before Yahweh your Elohim in the place which he chooses, read this Torah before all Israel in their hearing. Assemble the people, the men, the women, and the little children, and your sojourner who is within your gates, so that they hear, and so that they learn to fear Yahweh your Elohim, and guard to do all the words of this Torah. And their children who have not known it should hear and learn to fear Yahweh your Elohim as long as you live in the land you are passing over the Yarden to possess. Yahweh even dwells there forever. The chariots of Elohim are 20,000, thousands of thousands. Yeah. He doesn't even need chariots to fight battles. He can just, move the sea of reeds. Yahweh came from Sinai. Into the set-apart place. He goes from Sinai into the tent of appointment. That's where he dwells. You have ascended on high. You have led captivity captive. You have received gifts among men and even the rebellious, that Yah Elohim might dwell there in the set-apart place. Because David doesn't have a temple yet. He wants to build a temple. He set Solomon up to build the temple, but he doesn't build the temple, so there's no temple when David's writing this. It's just the tent of appointment. Blessed be Yahweh. Day by day he bears our burden. Jeremiah 2, and the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Go, and you shall cry in the hearing of Jerusalem, saying, Thus said Yahweh, I remember you, the loving commitment of your youth, the love of your bridehood, when you went after me in the wilderness, in a land that was not sown. Israel was set apart to Yahweh, the first fruits of his increase. All who ate of it became guilty, even evil came upon them, declares Yahweh. Hear the word of Yahweh, O house of Jacob, and all the clans of the house of Israel. Thus said Yahweh, What unrighteousness have your fathers found in me, that they have gone far from me, and went after worthless, and became worthless? And they did not say, Where is Yahweh, who brought us up out of the land of Mitzrayim, who led us through the wilderness, through a land of deserts and pits, through a land of drought and the shadow of death, and a land that no one passed through, and where no one dwelt? Then I brought you into a garden land to eat its fruit and its goodness. But when you entered, you defiled my land and made my inheritance an abomination. The priests did not say, Where is Yahweh? And those who handle the Torah did not know me. And the shepherds transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal, and walked after matters that did not profit. Therefore I still contend with you, declares Yahweh, and with your children's children I contend. For pass beyond the isles of Kittim, and see, and send to Kedar, and observe well, and see if there has been any like this. Has a nation changed its mighty ones, which are not mighty ones? My people have changed my esteem for that which does not profit. Be amazed, O heavens, at this, and be frightened. Be utterly dried up, declares Yahweh, for my people have done two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, to hew out for themselves cisterns, cracked cisterns, which do not hold water. Is Israel a servant? Was he born in the house? Why is he given to plunder? The young lions roared at him. They growled and made his land waste. His cities have been burned without inhabitant. Even the sons of Noph and of Tapenes have shaven the crown of your head. Have you not done this to yourself by forsaking Yahweh your Elohim when he led you away? And now, why take the way to Mitzrayim to drink the waters of Shahur? Or why take the way to Ashur to drink the waters of the river? Your own evil instructs you, and your backslidings reprove you. Know therefore, and see that it is evil and bitter that you have forsaken Yahweh your Elohim, and that my fear is not in you, declares the Master Yahweh of hosts. For of old I have broken your yoke and torn your chastisements, and you have said, I am not serving you, when on every high hill and under every green tree you laid down a whore. Yet I have planted you a choice vine, all of it a true seed. How then have you turned before me into the degenerate plant of a strange vine? Although you wash yourself with lye and use much soap, yet your crookedness is ingrained before me, declares the Master Yahweh. How do you say, I am not defiled, and I have never gone after the Baals? See your way in the valley, know what you have done. A swift dromedary breaking loose in her ways. A wild donkey used to the wilderness, sniffing in the wind in the desire of her being. In the time of her mating, who turns her away. All those who seek her need not weary themselves. In her mouth they find her. Keep your foot from being bare and your throat from thirst, but you said, it is useless because I love strangers, and after them I go. As a thief is ashamed when he is found out, so is the house of Israel ashamed. They and their sovereigns and their heads and their priests and their prophets, saying to a tree, you are my father, and to a stone, you gave birth to me.
For they have turned their back to me and not their face. But in the time of their calamity they say, Arise and save us. But where are your mighty ones that you have made for yourselves? Let them arise. See if they save you in the time of your calamity. Because your mighty ones have become as many as your cities, O Yehuda. Why do you complain to me? You all have transgressed against me, declares Yahweh. In vain have I stricken your children. They received no instruction. Your sword has devoured your prophet like a destroying lion. O generation, see the word of Yahweh. Have I been a wilderness to Israel, or a land of darkness? Why do my people say, We have broken loose, we have come to you no more? Would a maiden forget her ornaments, or a bride her headband? Yet my people have forgotten me days without number. Why do you embellish your way to seek love? Therefore you have even taught the evil women your ways. Even on the corners of your clothing is found the blood of the lives of the poor innocents. You do not find them breaking in, but in spite of all of these, you say, Because I am innocent, certainly his displeasure shall turn from me. See, I shall bring judgment on you, because you say, I have not sinned. Why do you go about so much to change your way? Even of Mitzrayim you are to be ashamed, as you were ashamed of Ashur. Even from this one you shall go forth with your hands on your heads, for Yahweh has rejected those who trust you, and you shall not prosper by them. Elohim said, If a man puts away his wife, she goes with him and becomes another man's, does he return to her again? Would not the land be made greatly unclean? But you have committed whoring with many lovers, and would you return to me, declares Yahweh. Lift up your eyes to the bare heights and see where you have not lain with men. Besides the ways you have sat for them like an Arabian in the wilderness, and you have made the land unclean with your whorings and evil. Okay. Yahweh came from Sinai into the set-apart place. You have ascended on high. You have led captivity captive. You have received gifts among men, and even the rebellious, that Yah Elohim might dwell there.
now we're halfway. And I can't find an exact instance of captivity, like the exact moment where they go into captivity. I have one more chapter to look. 2 Chronicles 6, when Solomon actually builds the temple, his prayer, if we start in 36, it's got a really long prayer, and if you've never read it, you didn't read it with us, you should definitely go check it out, because it is a beautiful, incredible prayer. But from verse 36 of 2 Chronicles 6, when they sin against you, for there is no one who does not sin, and you become enraged with them, and give them to the enemy, and they take them captive to a land far or near, and they shall turn back unto their heart in the land where they have been taken captive, and shall turn and make supplication to you in the land of their captivity, saying, we have sinned, we have acted crookedly, and have done wrong. And when they return to you with all their heart and with all their being in the land of their captivity where they have taken them captive, and they shall pray toward their land which you gave their fathers, and the city which you have chosen, and toward the house which I have built for your name, then shall you hear from the heavens, your dwelling place, their prayer and their supplications, and maintain their cause, and forgive your people who have sinned against you. Now, my Elohim, I pray, let your eyes be open, and let your ears be attentive to the prayer of this place. And now, arise, O YHWH Elohim, to your resting place, you in the ark of your strength. Let your priests, O YHWH Elohim, be robed with deliverance, and let your lovingly committed ones rejoice in goodness. O YHWH Elohim, do not turn away from the face of your anointed. Remember the loving commitment of your servant Dawid. So that's the prayer that he prays over the dwelling place. That they're going to set their face toward the dwelling place, repent, and be turned, and Yahweh will turn back their captivity. So the fact that we have into the set apart place, you have ascended on high, you have led captivity captive, you have received gifts among men. David's time is way before the captivity, but he evidently knows that there will be a captivity. And even the rebellious, that Yah Elohim might dwell there. Blessed be Yahweh. Day by day he bears our burden. The El of our deliverance, we read that in Exodus 15. Selah. Our El is the El of deliverance, and to Yahweh the Master belong escapes from death. I'm going to go back and read that single verse in Exodus 15. Verse 2, Yah is my strength and song, he has become my deliverance. He is my El, and I praise him. Elohim of my fathers, and I exalt him. And to Yahweh the Master belongs escape from death. Man. Which New Testament verse to read? Romans 6, verse 3. Or do you not know that as many of us as were immersed into Messiah Yeshua were immersed into his death? We were therefore buried with him through immersion into death, that as Messiah was raised from the dead by the esteem of the Father, so also we should walk in newness of life. For if we have come to be grown together in the likeness of his death, we shall be also of the resurrection. Knowing this, that our old man was impaled with him, so that the body of sin might be rendered powerless to serve sin no longer. For he who has died has been made right from sin. And if we died with Messiah, we believe that we shall also live with him, knowing that Messiah, having been raised from the dead, dies no more, death no longer rules over him. For in that he died to sin once and for all, but in that he lives to Elohim.
So you also reckon yourselves to be dead indeed to sin, but alive to Elohim and the Master Yeshua Messiah. In the Messiah Yeshua, our Master. There we go. And to Yahuwah the Master belong escapes from death.
Ooh. Talk about prophecy. And we're getting into Psalm 69, which is all about Yeshua, whose claim to fame is rising from death.
Indeed, Elohim smites the head of his enemies, the hairy scalp of him who walks about in his guilt. Ew. The hairy scalp of him who walks about in his guilt. That is sin. If you're following along in Romans, you'll know what we're talking about here. If you're following along in Romans, you should be following along in Romans. Yahuwah said, I bring back from Bashan, I bring back from the depths of the sea, so that you plunge your foot in blood, that the tongues of your dogs have their portion from the enemies. Let your dogs eat the enemies. This sea of the depths of the sea, that is the we just read that as well in Revelation 20. And the sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and Sheol gave up the dead. And the sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and Sheol gave up the dead who were in them. And they were judged, each one according to his works. Go to Revelation 19, verse 17. And I saw one messenger standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the birds that fly in mid-heaven, come and gather together for the supper of the great Elohim, to eat the flesh of sovereigns, and the flesh of commanders, and the flesh of strong ones, and the flesh of horses, and of those who sit on them, and the flesh of all people, free and slave, both small and great. And I saw the beast, and the sovereigns of the earth, and their armies gathered together to fight him who sat on the horse and his army. And the beast was seized, and with him the false prophet who worked signs in his presence, by which he led astray those who received the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image. The two were thrown alive into the lake of the fire, burning with sulfur, and the rest were killed with the sword which came from the mouth of him who sat on the horse, and all the birds were filled with their flesh. And in this case, it's dogs, have their portion from the enemy. They have seen your goings, O Elohim, the goings of my sovereign, into the set-apart place. They're bearing witness. And speaking of bearing witness, we're going to bear witness of Matthew 15. That's Acts. Matthew 15:24, and he answering said, I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But she came and was bowing to him, saying, Master, help me. And he answering said, it is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs. But she said, Yes, Master, for even the little dogs eat the crumbs which fall from the master's table. And Yeshua answering said to her, O woman, your belief is great. Let it be to you as you desire. And her daughter was healed from that hour. This is the woman who is asking for her daughter to be healed, and that the tongues of that he calls her a dog, and then she says that the dogs get the crumbs. That the tongues of your dogs, so that you plunge your foot in blood, that the tongue of your dogs have their portion from the enemies. They're going to eat too off of the enemies. They have seen your goings, O Elohim. The goings of my El, my sovereign, into the set-apart place. The singers went in front, the players on instruments after them. Among them were the young women playing tambourines. This is noted in Chronicles. Chapter 7 of 2nd Chronicles. Yah responds to Solomon. Second Chronicles 5, verse 13. Then it came to be, as the trumpeters and singers were as one, to make one sound to be heard in praising and thanking Yahweh. And when they lifted up their voice with the trumpets and with cymbals and with the instruments of song, and giving praise to Yahweh, for he is good, for his loving commitment is everlasting, that the house of Yahweh, the house of Yahweh was filled with a cloud, and the priests were unable to stand and perform the service because of the cloud, for the esteem of Yahweh filled the house of Elohim. Similar to the where was it? Might have been Ezekiel that we were just reading. I don't know where we saw that. Okay. They have seen your goings, O Elohim, the goings of my El, my sovereign, into the set-apart place. The singers went in front, the players on instruments after them. Among them were the young women playing tambourines. Bless Elohim in the assemblies. Yahuwah from the fountain of Yisrael. Bless Elohim in the assemblies. Yahuwah from the fountain of Yisrael. There is Benjamin, the smallest, their ruler. The leaders of Yehuda, their company. The leaders of Zebulun, the leader of Zebulun, the leader of Naphtali. Your Elohim has commanded your strength. Be strong. Man, just calling out these 3 tribes here. Four tribes technically, because David is a Jew, so he's definitely leading the Jews at this point. And then Zebulun, Benjamin, Naphtali. Your Elohim has commanded your strength. Be strong. O Elohim, you have worked out for us. Because of your Hakal at Yerushalayim, sovereigns bring presents to you. Rebuke the wild beasts of the reeds, the herd of bulls with the calves of the peoples. Even in that 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 5. And sovereign Shlomo slaughtered a slaughtering of 22,000 bulls and 120,000 sheep. Thus the sovereign and all his people dedicated the house of Israel. And the priests were standing over their duties, and the Levites with instruments of the song to Yahuwah, which sovereign David had made to give thanks to Yahuwah, saying, for his loving commitment is everlasting. Whenever David praised by their hand, and the priests were blowing trumpets before them, and all Israel were standing. It's very possible that this song in question is 1 Chronicles 16. Which we are not going to try and sing, but yeah, it's there. There is Benjamin, the smallest, their ruler, the leaders of Yehuda, their company, the leader of Zebulun, the leader of Naphtali. Your Elohim has commanded your strength. Be strong, O Elohim. This you have worked out for us. Because of your Hakal at Yerushalayim, sovereigns bring presents to you. 2 Chronicles 9. And the sovereigns of Sheba heard the report of Shlomo and came to Yerushalayim to try Shlomo with hard questions and with very great company, and camels bearing spice and much gold and precious stones. And she came to Shlomo, and she spoke with him about all that was in her heart. And Shlomo answered all her questions, and there was no matter hidden for Shlomo which he did not make known to her. And the sovereigness of Sheba saw the wisdom of Shlomo, and the house that he had built, and the food on his table, and the seating of his servants, and the service of his waiters, and their attire, and the cupbearers and their attire, and this, and his ascending offering that he offered up in the house of Yahuwah, and there was no more spirit in her. Then she said to the sovereign, true was the word I heard in my own land about your words and your wisdom, but I did not believe their words until I came and saw with my own eyes, and see, I have not been told the half of the greatness of your wisdom. You exceed the report which I heard. Blessed are your men, and blessed are these your servants, who stand continually before you and hear your wisdom. Blessed be Yahuwah your Elohim, who delighted in you to put you on his throne to be sovereign for Yahuwah your Elohim. Because your Elohim has loved Yisrael to establish them forever, therefore he made you sovereign over them to do right ruling and righteousness. And she gave the sovereign 120 talents of gold and very many spices and precious stones, and there has not been any spices such as those the sovereigness of Sheba gave to sovereign Shlomo. So he's getting gifts from people.
Okay, and we see this even today, that the tithe goes up and the blessing goes down. We're going to go to Genesis 14. It said this in Hebrews. Okay. Hebrews 7:4. Now see how great this one was to whom even the ancestor Abraham gave a tenth of the choicest booty. This is Melchizedek. And truly those who are of the sons of Levi who receive the priesthood have a command to receive tithes from the people according to the Torah, that is, from their brothers, though they have come from the loins of Abraham. However, the one whose genealogy is not derived from them received tithes from Abraham and blessed the one who held the promises. And it is beyond all dispute that the lesser is blessed by the better. And here it is men who died that receive tithes. But here it is men who die that receive tithes. But there it is someone of whom it is witnessed that he lives. And one might say that through Abraham even Levi, who received tithes, gave tithes, for he was still in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him. Truly then, if perfection were through the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people were given the Torah, why was there still need for another priest to arise according to the order of Melchizedek, and not be called according to the order of Aaron? For the priesthood being changed of necessity, there takes place a change of law also. For he of whom this is said belongs to another tribe, from which no one had attended at the slaughter place. For it is perfectly clear that our master arose from Yehuda, a tribe about which Moshe never spoke of concerning priesthood, and this is clearer still if another priest arises in the likeness of Melchizedek, who has become not according to the Torah of fleshly command, but according to the power of endless life. For he does witness, you are a priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek. For there is indeed a setting aside of the former command because of its weakness and unprofitableness. For the Torah perfected not, but the bringing in of a better expectation through which we draw near to Elohim, and it was not without an oath. Okay, so because of your call at Jerusalem, sovereigns bring presents to you. Yeah, because the tithe goes up and the blessings go down. Rebuke the wild beasts of the reeds, the herds of bulls with the calves of the peoples, each one humbling himself with pieces of silver.
Scatter the peoples who delight in conflict. That's a tithe reference. The herd of bulls. Yeah, this is a sacrifice reference. Rebuke the wild beasts of the reeds. The herds of bulls with the calves of the peoples, each one humbling himself with pieces of silver. Scatter the people who delight in conflicts. Ambassadors come out of Mitzrayim. Cush stretches out her hand to Elohim. Sing to Elohim, you reigns of the earth. Praises to Yahweh, Selah. And this is preface to Psalm 69, because we start this out with Elohim arises, his enemies are scattered, and those who hate him flee before him. As smoke is driven away, you drive them away. As wax melts before the fire, the wrong perish before Elohim. But the righteous are glad, they exult before Elohim, and they rejoice with gladness. So we're getting, as we go through this, then we see giants being slayed. We see the chariots, which if we go to Isaiah... Isaiah. I do not know. It's in there somewhere. There's some Catholic expectation of Yeshua coming down by the chariot of the gods. Whatever the fuck that means, because there's one God. So, I don't get a lot of the stuff that they do. But that's okay.
because I'm not one of them. But the point is that this is leading up to the Messiah being shown in Psalm 69. And this is basically like I'm seeing David walking through a doorway, having a vision walking through a doorway, and this is all the setup of scene into Psalm 69. And then Messiah comes up in 69. To him who rides on the ancient highest of heavens. Sing to Elohim, you reigns of the earth. Praises to Yahweh, Selah. Selah is like a piece or a weight. And if you listen to the sing psalms on this, there was a lot of weight, like notes with weights on them. And there's Selahs in here all throughout. And not a whole bunch of them, but 3 or 4. And so there's weights throughout the music. And that's characterized by a note with a dot after it. You pause and then you continue going. All this I remember from music class, how to read these 1/8 notes, quarter notes, whole notes, weights, like, I don't know, get a recorder too, like, to him who rides on the ancient highest heavens. See, he sends out his voice, a mighty voice, a voice like many waters. We know from Ezekiel 1, Ezekiel 3. Ezekiel 1:24, and when they went, I heard the noise of their wings like the noise of many waters, like the voice of the Almighty, a tumult like the noise of an army. And when they stood still, they let down their wings. And then also the Revelation 1 as well. And I turned to see the voice which spoke with me, and having turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands, and in the midst of the 7 lampstands, one like the Son of Man, dressed in a robe down to the feet, and girded about the chest with a golden band. And his head and hair were white as wool, as snow, and his eyes were a flame of fire. And his feet like burnished brass, as if refined in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. Ezekiel 1:24 and 43:2. We'll read it in 43:2 as well. And he led me to the gate facing east, and see, the esteem of the Elohim of Israel came from the way of the east, and his voice was like the sound of many waters, and the earth shone from his esteem. Praise El. Ruth, Job, Psalm 69, 68. And he sent out his voice, a mighty voice, ascribed strength to Elohim, his excellence over Yisrael. This ascribing strength is us giving him praise. That is our job, is to worship him. If we look also in Revelation, we'll find the 4 living creatures. In Revelation 4:8, and the 4 living creatures, each having 6 wings. Okay. We're just going to read Revelation 4.
After this I looked and saw a door having been opened in the heaven, and the first voice which I heard was like a trumpet speaking with me, saying, "Come up here, and I shall show you what has to take place after this." And immediately I came to be in the Spirit, and saw a throne set in the heaven, and one sat on the throne. And he who sat there was like a jasper and a ruby stone in appearance. And there was a rainbow around the throne, like an emerald in appearance. And around the throne were 24 thrones, and on the thrones I saw 24 elders sitting, dressed in white robes, and they had crowns of gold on their heads. And out of the throne came lightnings and thunders and voices, and 7 lamps of fire were burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of Elohim. And before the throne there was a sea of glass like crystal, and in the midst of the throne and around the throne were 4 living creatures, covered with eyes in front and in back. And the first living creature was like a lion, and the second living creature like a calf, and the third living creature had a face like a man, and the fourth living creature was like a flying eagle. And the 4 living creatures, each having 6 wings, were covered with eyes around and within, and they do not cease day or night, saying, "Set apart, set apart, set apart, Yahuwah El Shaddai, who was and who is coming." And when the living creatures give esteem and respect and thanks to him who sits on the throne, who lives forever and ever, the 24 elders fall down before him who sits on the throne and bow before him who lives forever and ever. And they cast their crowns before the throne, saying, "You are worthy, O Yahuwah, to receive esteem and power and respect, to receive esteem and respect and power. For you have created all, and because of your desire, they are and were created." Set apart, set apart, set apart, Yahuwah El Shaddai is Isaiah 6:3. I'm going to read Isaiah 6. In the year that sovereign Uzziyahu died, I saw Yahuwah sitting on a throne, high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the Hakal, and above it stood seraphim. Each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one cried to another and said, "Set apart, set apart, set apart is Yahuwah of hosts. All the earth is filled with his esteem." And the posts of the door were shaken by the voice of him who cried, and the house was filled with smoke. And I said, "Woe to me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the sovereign Yahuwah of hosts." And one of the seraphim flew to me, having in his hand a live coal, which he had taken with the tongs from the slaughter place. And he touched my mouth with it, and said, "See, this has touched your lips. Your crookedness is taken away, and your sin is covered." And I heard the voice of Yahuwah saying, "Whom do I send, and who would go for us?" And I said, "Here I am, send me." And he said, "Go, and you shall say to this people, hearing you hear, but do not understand, and seeing you see, but do not know. Make the heart of this people fat and their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their heart, and shall turn and be healed." Then I said, "Yahuwah, until when?" And he answered, "Until the cities are laid waste and without inhabitant, and the houses are without a man, and the land is laid waste ruined. And Yahuwah has removed men far away, and the forsaken places be many in the midst of the land. But still there is a 10th part in it, and it shall again be for a burning like a terebinth tree, and like an oak whose stump remains when it is cut down. The set apart seed is its stump." And it came to be in the days of Ahaz, son of Jotham, son of Uzziyahu, sovereign of Yehuda, that Retzin, sovereign of Aram, and Pekah, son of Remaliahu, sovereign of Israel, went up to Jerusalem to fight against it, but could not prevail against it. And it was reported to the house of David, saying, Aram has set up camp in Ephraim, and his heart and the heart of his people were moved as the trees of the forest are moved with the wind. And Yahuwah said to Yeshayahu, Go now to meet Ahaz, you and Shear Yashub, your son, at the end of the channel of the upper pool, on the highway of the launderer's field, and say to him, Take heed and be calm, do not fear or be faint-hearted, for these two stubs of smoking firebrands, for the fierce displeasure of Retzin and Aram, and the son of Remaliahu. Say to him, Take heed and be calm, do not fear or be faint-hearted, for these two stubs of smoking firebrands, for the fierce displeasure of Retzin and Aram and the son of Remaliahu, because Aram, Ephraim, and the son of Remaliahu have plotted evil against you, saying, Let us go up against Yehuda and tear it apart, and break it open for ourselves, and set a sovereign over them, the son of Tebael. Thus said the Master Yahuwah, It is not going to stand, nor shall it take place. For the head of Aram is Damasek, and the head of Damasek is Retzin, and within 65 years Ephraim is to be broken as a people. And the head of Ephraim is Shomeron, and the head of Shomeron is the son of Remaliahu. If you do not believe, you are not steadfast. And Yahuwah spoke again to Ahaz, saying, Ask a sign for yourself from Yahuwah your Elohim. Make deep the request, or make it high. But Ahaz said, I do not ask nor try Yahuwah. And he said, Hear now, O house of David, is it not enough that you weary men, that you weary my Elohim also? Therefore, Yahuwah himself gives you a sign. Look, the Alma conceives and gives birth to a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. He eats curds and honey when he knows to refuse evil and choose the good. For before the child knows to refuse evil and choose the good, the land that you dread is to be forsaken by both her sovereigns. Yahuwah brings on you and your people and your father's house days that have not come since the day that Ephraim turned away from Yehuda, the sovereign of Ashur. And it shall be in that day that Yahuwah whistles for the fly that is in the farthest part of the rivers of Mitzrayim, and for the bee that is in the land of Ashur. And they shall come, and all of them shall rest in the steep ravines, and in the clefts of the rocks, and on all weeds, and in all pastures. In that day Yahuwah shall shave with a razor hired beyond the river, with the sovereign of Ashur, the head of the hair of the legs, and also remove the beard. And it shall be in that day that a man keeps alive a young cow and 2 sheep, and it shall be that he shall eat curds because of the plenty milk he gets, for everyone left in the land shall eat curds. And it shall be in that day, every place where there were 1,000 vines worth 1,000 shekels of silver, let it be for thorn bushes and weeds. With arrows and bows one shall go there, because all the land shall be thorn bushes and weeds. And to all the hills which were tilled with the hoe you do not go for fear of thorn bushes and weeds, but it shall be for sending oxen, and a place for sheep to roam. And his strength is in the clouds, O Elohim, awesome from your set-apart places. Matthew 24, verse 30. And then the sign of the Son of Man shall appear in the heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of the heaven with power and much esteem. Matthew 26:64. Yeshua said to him, You have said it. Besides, I say to you, from now on you shall see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the power and coming on the clouds of the heaven. Then the high priest tore his garments, saying, He has blasphemed. Why do we need any more witnesses? See, now you have heard his blasphemy. Coming in the clouds is Daniel 7:13. I was looking in the night visions and saw one like the Son of Man coming with the clouds of heavens. And he came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And to him was given rulership and preciousness and a reign that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His rule is an everlasting rule which shall not pass away, and his reign that which shall not be destroyed. As for me, Daniel, my spirit was pierced within my body, and the visions of my head alarmed me. I drew near to one of those who stood by and asked him the certainty of all this, and he spoke to me and made known to me the interpretation of these matters. These great beasts which are four sovereigns which rise up from the earth. Then the set apart ones of the Most High shall receive the reign, and possess the reign forever, even forever and ever. Then I desired for certainty concerning the fourth beast, which was different from all the others, very fearsome, with its teeth of iron and its nails of bronze, which devoured, crushed, and trampled down the rest with its feet. And concerning the 10 horns that were on his head, and of the horn that came up before which 3 fell, this horn, which had eyes and a mouth which spoke great words, whose appearance was greater than his fellows, I was looking, and this horn was fighting against the set apart ones, and was prevailing against them until the Ancient of Days came. And right ruling was given to the set apart ones of the Most High, and the time came, and the set apart ones took possession of the reign. This is what he said. The fourth beast is the fourth reign on earth, which is different from all other reigns, and it devours all the earth, tramples it down, and crushes it. And the 10 horns are 10 sovereigns from the reign. They shall rise, and another shall rise after them. And it is different from the first ones, and it humbles 3 sovereigns, and it speaks words against the Most High, and it wears out the set apart ones of the Most High, and intends to change the appointed times and law, and they are given into its hand for a time and times and half a time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away its rule, to cut off and to destroy until the end. And the reign and the rulership and the greatness of the reigns under all the heavens shall be given to the people, the set apart ones of the Most High. His reign is an everlasting reign, and all rulership shall serve and obey him. This is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my thoughts greatly alarmed me, and my color changed, and I kept the matter in my heart. As for me, Daniel, my color greatly changed, and I kept the matter in my heart. His strength is in the clouds. This is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my thoughts greatly alarmed me, and my color changed, and I kept the matter in my heart. O Elohim, awesome from your set-apart places, the El of Yisrael is he, who gives strength and power to his people. Blessed be Elohim. Praise Yahweh.